Howdy folks, did want to take some time to go ahead and show you all a 3v3 game that I had going earlier with a guy I met online by the name of Raven, myself down here is Protoss, and then good old Jed, the Skeletor. The reason why I wanted to cast this game is I think it's a pretty good example of a good build order for 3v3 as Protoss from my perspective on a pretty small map. This particular map is pretty tiny. There's just one little watchtower in the middle here, and 3 natural expansions and then 2 side expansions. It's definitely a rush map. The idea is you want to get units out as quickly as possible, control the center, and then from there you could pretty much dominate the game. It's very important when you rush on 3v3, and it's one of the reasons why people hate 3v3 so much to just take one player out as soon as possible. It's easier to defend that extra player on a smaller map like this to send in reinforcements, but as you'll see in this particular case, that just didn't. They weren't able to really do that. So as you can see, I've got my standard build order here. I went with I think a 3-gate on this one. There's no chatter in the game because we're all in Ventrilo talking at this point. But yeah, it really worked well against me to go 3-gate instead of 2-gate and then Cybernetics Core. You obviously end up teching a little bit slower, but having that massive clump of zealots right off the bat is pretty nice to have. I had a 1 versus 1 match where I went up against an opponent with a really solid army, just like a mixture of immortals and stalkers and zealots and sentries, and had my sentry shields up, and I went in the back of his base, totally thought I had the game in hand, and he just didn't do anything but go zealots. He had like frickin' 15 or 16 of them. I may actually cast that game. It was a pretty epic loss on my part. But getting back to this game here, we can see that Jed has walled himself off. I didn't wall. I knew it was going to be a pretty quick game. See, he sent in a CV to scout out. Looks like that Protoss guy went ahead and walled off. So he went kind of high tech. I think that he ends up going straight for stalkers, which can be very good if you're good at microing. They could really take out zealots pretty easily because you can just kind of move them out of the way. But yeah, and then we got the other Terran here who oddly didn't even wall off. Now this was a placement match. The 3 of us did eventually end up, I think, getting placed in gold. But this is a placement match, so these opponents aren't necessarily terribly skilled. Although they do manage to put up a pretty good fight. Just kind of going around to see what everybody's up to. I don't know what that machine gun fire was, but anyway. See, he's got a little scout going out here, and that's, he kind of took the initiative there and did get the center of the map. But I've got a decent sized force of zealots coming, and so my 3-gate is out. I did go ahead and throw down an assimilator, but as you can see, I'm not even really mining with it yet. I could get the unit count out here, and as you can see, our Zerg buddy has a pretty sizable group. Well, actually, no, those are just overlords, but he's gonna end up hatching things pretty quick here. And now I've got my decent sized zealots, and I think we're gonna start talking about making a push here in a sec. And I think by this point we had scouted out Aqua. Jed had gone in there with his SCV, and I had and then our Zerg player had gone in there to check out Terran. And so since we hadn't really checked these guys out yet, we decided to go ahead and go for that. See, he says on my way. I'm gonna go ahead and make the push here. Maybe I was being indecisive. No, here we go. not terribly the best attack here. I did just kind of send them in blindly without really thinking too much about it because I was managing things back in my own base. But I did manage to get past his initial line, let our Zerg buddy clean things up, and delayed him at least a little bit. And actually, in this particular case, oh, here's Jed coming in with his force, but really we only attacked with 2 major forces on the first push there, and you know, Teal sent in some forces, these 2 stalkers and some zealots and stuff, but Blue pretty much got knocked out, and that's, I mean, that's really what you want to do in a 3 versus 3 situation. You could see that Red is taking advantage of the delay here to expand, but he's just, I mean, I didn't even notice these Reavers in the game, to be honest. I don't remember even what happens to them, but they're just not going to be able to do very much against the solid force. Reavers, as many of you know, are just kind of a, you know, surprise tactic. They don't really work en masse. Oh yeah, Jed just takes him out. See, what he should have done, I mean, even though Blue was getting attacked, he should have taken those Reapers and tried to do some damage while one of us was distracted. I mean, he could have really taken out my mineral line, or really probably any of our mineral lines, since we were so focused on attack. But that's the rut that people tend to get themselves into. You know, you get scared to counter after, you know, suffering a defeat. But that really is a good tactic sometimes, especially if you're going to go after resources. But see, yellow's expanded. I don't even think I ever did expand until the very end when things were pretty much over. But see, I've got 3 stalkers. Sorry, I'm not really focusing much on what I'm doing in my own base. That was the main point of this video. But yeah, eventually I got my 4 warp gates up, and I always get nervous mid-game when things aren't totally in the bag. Throw down a forge and start upgrading. I don't even think I've upgraded anything at this point yet, though. But I think that we're about to try and lay the coup de grace on Blue pretty soon here. Got a decent-sized battle in the middle. I think I was getting a little nervous about Teal at this point, because he had quite a few of these stalkers, but I've got 4 more, and then I can just start warping them in pretty quickly here. And so, you know, getting those 4 gates down is just so rad, because you can just really warp them in. He's got the same thing going on, though. See, he upgraded Blink too, which I'm not terribly good at it, and that's the main reason why I don't really use it. But he went Hellions, which was really odd because they really don't do a whole lot against Protoss. I guess they would have been nice against the Zerg, but I pretty much was able to contain them in his base there without letting him get to my Zerg buddy. And yeah, as we can see, we just took out his expansion, Red's expansion. But they're still in it, you know. And you know, here I'm going in to help take out the rest of Blue's base. I got an Immortal up and a pretty decent sized group of stalkers. But he's still got decent resources. It's always hard to tell what to do in the situation when you're, you know, about to get annihilated. You know, do you rebuild? Do you ask for money? Do you just get all the resources you can and then pump them into one of your teammates? Like, if he, at this point, I think if Blue, like, just literally took all of his resources and pumped them into Teal, they could have done some serious damage, because Teal's got the infrastructure to pump out some serious units, although he's kind of sleeping on the job right now. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he's just building up, waiting things out, but anyway, here we have Jed with his siege tanks coming in, about to do some pretty sick damage. He's running right now. He's trying to meet up with his other... Oh, I'm sorry. That's not Jed. That's Red. Jed is Skeletor. Such an awesome combo. Medevac ships along with the units like that. But the siege tanks end up cleaning things up. But yeah, at this point, blue is pretty much done for. And on a small map like this, where there's really no room to expand, that really is gonna make it pretty difficult unless you're going up against some pretty insane people. We just end up out resourcing them. There's just no two ways about it. But they're trying to consolidate here and back up. Blue ends up taking this expansion that we had previously taken out, and once again, they managed to kind of get me nervous again. I think I sent a force in here in a minute, and the siege tanks kind of had me worried. I'm naturally a very nervous person, apparently, because I get worried a lot. But you can see teal finally expanded, and I did eventually expand down here. I don't really end up doing much with it by the time we finish things off here, but I don't know what he's doing. Patrolling. And here we go. So I've got my force meeting all up, and I'm gonna try to make something happen, but I don't really like the way those siege tanks are laying me to waste there. So I wait for Zerg to come on in, and I just love the hell out of these infestors. They, I mean, if they got full energy, they can spawn eight infested marines, and you'll see that in a little bit here. And here we go. Here's Jed's siege tanks, which are pretty clutch in taking this out here. Something that a lot of people don't remember too is that stalkers actually do get the damage bonus against armored opponents. So stalkers are pretty damn effective against siege tanks as well. And here we go. They're going to come out. Yellow's going to bring in his Zerg force. And the infestors are about to pop out. There we go. See, these little balls are all going to turn into infested marines. Oh, that is so... I didn't even realize he had done that. You just drop them right next to the tanks and they can't even hit them. That is so awful. That's harsh. But, yeah. The GG will be imminent. There we go. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you next time.